Erik, did the Cavs let him know?
No, no, the Cavs let him know. In round one against the Raptors, the Cleveland Cavaliers take care of business at home, going up 2-0 in that series. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, and leave us a voicemail. Tell us what you thought of the first two games and how the Cavs look so far. 216-260-3433. Noah, there's a lot to like from these two games. There's some things that I don't like too, which we'll jump into. But first off, your reaction. What do you think so far through two?
The Cavs are handling business. That's what this is all about, right? This is what I wanted them to do in this series. I wrote about it in the lead. I talked about it when we previewed this series. I wanted the Cavs to go into this series and take care of business, set the tempo for their playoff run. And whenever that ends, so be it. But right now, we're focused on round one, right? And I wanted them to go into round one against Toronto, set the tempo, show what they're made of in terms of not being this soft Cavaliers team anymore. And when you win, back to back games at home and take care of business like you did against these Toronto Raptors, I feel good. I feel confident. Now, does that carry on into the next couple series? We'll see what the matchups are. We'll see what those teams look like in terms of their matchups going forward. But as of right now, all gas, no brakes. Let's go Cavs because it's exactly how I want to see it. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you the good. The big three look great. I mean, they each scored over 25 in that game too. Mobley was on fire. He looked really good, and we've talked about like getting him going and making sure that he's aggressive, which he has been, is key to this team and unlocking this team. The bad, I would say, are the turnovers. Sometimes we just get really lackadaisical. We never put the game away. Like we can be up 20 in the third quarter, we don't quite put it away like we should. Especially against this Toronto team where like Ingram couldn't find a bucket for the longest time, and yet they were always in it. You and I talked about at the end of the third quarter, it felt like it should have been the end of the game, like for game two. It felt like it was just moving in a weird way that a whole nother quarter being left was crazy to me. And yet they were only down Toronto like seven. We were only up like 7 points. So they were very much in that game the whole time, and yet there was never really a doubt. It never felt like we weren't going to win either. There's just like some few points that we need to clean up where I think of teams like Boston, even the Knicks, where we cannot look like this against them. But I think maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself. We're taking care of business. We're up 2-0. I mean, things couldn't quite be better at the moment. I'm just thinking ahead and some of the teams that we might face, and I'm just not sure how we'll look against them.
Yeah, I think that's all valid concerns, and I think that's totally fine for this series, right? Like, I'd rather them get the jitters out and get the uncomfortability. I don't even know if that's the vocab word I'm looking for, but I want the stuff that we see right now to be in this Raptors series, a team that I think we do match up well. We do what they do not defend well. We defend what they do well. I just think if we could continue this momentum, it's good confidence building into a round two, and then a conference finals, of course. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself because, we haven't even gotten to Toronto yet. And Toronto is a hell of a basketball city. And I want to give that city and that team a ton of credit because we could go into Toronto, they could smack us in the mouth because we've seen that with this Cavaliers team multiple times, not with Toronto. The series record in terms of playoff games with Toronto, we're 9-0 against them no matter what. We take care of business. Well, not 9-0, but we're 9-0 at home against Toronto no matter what. We take care of business against the Toronto Raptors, typically in terms of the playoffs. We've never lost a series to that team, but we could go in there. This is not the LeBron James Cavs. This is not LeBronto, right? This is a new team. This is a different team. We could go in there, get smacked in the mouth, and come back and have ourselves a series. I mean, I projected six Cavs in six, right? Like Cavs in six to me is still very much on the table just because of what I've seen this team be made of. If they could continue the momentum of what they brought from the home court over to the country up north, for lack of a better term, we will gladly take care of them in 4 or 5, but that still remains to be seen. That's not what this Cavs team is right now, because we don't know what this Cavs team is right now. They played limited minutes together in the regular season. And when we talk about the core four era, right, whether it be Darius Garland or whether it be James Harden, this team is still very unproven, and this team is still very shaky and very, I hate to say it, but soft. If they could continue down the route, you talk about Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is a huge key here. If he could continue to play like he has in game one and game two, we're going to be perfectly fine for Toronto. And then we can worry about round two and round three after that fact.
Yeah, there's 2 more points, that I wanted to make, and the first is Jared Allen, because I thought that, like, coming out in game 2, he looked incredible. At game 1 too, he's aggressive, and then he kinda loses the plot throughout the game. I'm curious your take there, but also you mentioned the bench, and what a tale of 2 games, and I'm talking about Max Strus. Game 2 did not have his shot. Don't get me wrong, he did well in other areas, but did not have his shot like he did in game one. Game one, obviously, he was unbelievable. Is the bench a concern to you, the lack of depth or the depth in general, from what we've seen from the bench? But we've seen other guys come on, like it's been streaky, I guess is the best way of putting it.
Well, streaky doesn't bother me because it's a bench, right? Like you're talking about role players at the end of the day. When it's a role player, you cannot expect them to carry the load, right? That's why you have Donovan Mitchell. That's why you have James Harden. That's what they're here for. They're to carry the load and to bring you throughout rounds one, two, three, the finals, whatever, however far they go. To me, I loved Max Strus in the first game. How couldn't you? He brought the energy, and that's great. He's also still a role player, right? Even though he has that finals experience and he has the experience that gets you excited, he's still a role player at the end of the day. So to see him go from what 20 plus points in the first game to having 6 in the second game, that doesn't completely surprise me. That's just where he is. That's the type of player he is. And to expect, a 20 plus point outing out of a guy like Max Strus every game in, game out, is just unrealistic to me because if he was doing that kind of thing, he would be in the echelon of Donovan Mitchell, James Harden. I don't want to say Evan Mobley, even though I've seen things that have made me very optimistic about my Evan Mobley stock as of late. To me, yes, it's up and down, it's in between. But if the Cavs are taking care of business at the end of the day, I'm fine with whoever does it, whether it's Evan Mobley, whether it's Dean Wade, whether it's Jared Allen. I mean, you could name any of the names. And I know Dean Wade only scored 3 points in that second game, but you look at his plus minus and he still has a plus minus of 14. That stat floated around about how Brandon Ingram only scored 3 points on Dean Wade in his entire game, and he was one of their highest scorers in game one. It just all trickles down to, as long as they're clicking and as long as they're winning games, it could be Tyrese Proctor getting minutes. It could be any one of those names that aren't getting playoff minutes right now, and I'd be totally fine with it because at the end of the day, I'm here for winning games. And that kind of reminds me of a thought process that I had. Are you surprised by how deep the Cavs are running their rotations right now? Because in game two, for example, we have 11 players that got minutes, and it's a little shaky. Some are getting 34, 35, 37. Donovan Mitchell had 37 in game two. And then you go down to the bottom, it's Keon Ellis with like 9 minutes, Jalen Tyson with 12. Are you surprised how deep they're running even in the playoffs right now?
Yes and no. I think that that'll probably tighten up in further rounds. I think that's most likely a first round thing that
True.
we're seeing. I don't mind it, to be honest with you. But surprised, I don't know. I think Kenny Atkinson has shown that he's very willing to mix up lineups and play lineups. I know typically you don't see that come playoff time, but I feel like he's just different in that regard, and I appreciate that. If we can get production, what I really have liked is that we see both Harden and Mitchell. They're on the court. They start on the court together and they play significant minutes together, but they're also playing with different groups without one another,
Yes.
allowing one another to rest. And I've said it for a long time that that's how they should have treated the situation with Darius Garland when he was here, to kind of run with two different groups. So I like that he's doing that. By the way, speaking of Donovan Mitchell, he passed Kyrie Irving officially for second most playoff games in franchise history with 30 or more points, which is pretty cool. Obviously, he trails LeBron James now, and I'm not sure that he'll ever pass him, but pretty damn cool. We're getting it from Mitch, we're getting it from Harden, and we mentioned Mobley, of course. So this big three looks really good so far, and time will tell what happens. By the way, I mentioned how for the Raptors, they can't get any scoring especially from their stars. That's not just a result of being completely cold, though. That's a result of this Cavaliers defense and face guarding pretty well. The interesting thing moving forward, going back to Toronto, if they can get quickly back, if that makes a difference for them, of course, he still has that strain. So he has not played at all, their starting point guard. But so far, so good for the Cavs. Like, I'm not disappointed in any way. The negatives that I point out are more just things like, hey, there's some areas where we still need to clean up. I'm not super confident going into a 7 game series right now against Boston, but I'm not disappointed or like the sky is falling by any means. When you can go up 2-0 against a good team, Toronto's still a good team, don't get me wrong. We're in a good position. We'll see what it looks like when we go back to Toronto, of course, for those 2 games, but all is well in Cavaliers land, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that couldn't be your take, that all is well right now, right? You're up 2-0, you're taking care of business, you look strong, you have the guy that you wanted to be unlocked in Evan Mobley taking care of himself, doing what he needs to do in terms of scoring, getting points on the board, doing what he needs to do defensively, but as well as off the glass and whatnot, really taking care of everything you want to see Evan Mobley do. To me, it'll be more interesting as we progress into some of these other matchups. And you're totally right. And I don't want to overlook Toronto because we are going to Toronto. And I want to make it very abundantly clear that Toronto is a good basketball city. That energy over there is going to be electric. We could end up losing one of these ones and then having to come back and deal with a game 5, potentially a game 6, God forbid a game 7. So this is all still very much on the table. I mean, the old idiom goes, it's not a playoff series until the away team wins a game. So to me, there's still a lot left on the bone, especially going into game 3, because if Toronto takes 2, then we're just going with the back and forth of home court advantage. I don't think that's going to happen. I feel really good about the Cavs premise, everything they have going on. The main thing to me is the Raptors' lack of ability to score threes. And in that first game, it was like, oh, what the hell are we doing? Because it felt like they were hitting threes left, right, and center. That tempered a little bit in game 2. And, Brandon Ingram scoring is a big part of that as well. I mean, he played 36 minutes and had 7 points in game 2.
Yeah, and by the way, one of the things that I really like is that it's not all on Spida's shoulders right now,
Yeah.
and I don't think we can like overstate that. Last year, last couple playoffs, like even though you've gotten production out of other guys, don't get me wrong, it very much felt like it was down to Donovan Mitchell, and at least so far in this series, and I know we're cruising right now. That's not the case. Harden's looking really. I mean, the addition of Harden, we can all talk about, and we discussed it at length, obviously, when we traded for him. I was ecstatic of this trade. I think we all had hesitation because of what we've heard about him over the years, his locker room, his presence, forcing himself out of teams, etc. But I thought that this
Yeah.
was a move that made a ton of sense. I've been saying for years now that we needed to get rid of Garland because the two together just don't make sense. Their height, etc., etc. It never quite clicked for me. And what we see now is exactly that. I mean, in game 1, Donovan Mitchell got a lot of views from the sideline because he didn't have to play. He was getting rest, and I think that that is such a good thing moving forward, and something that we haven't seen the last couple years, where he has given his all and is just gassed at the end, at least so far. And I know it's round 1. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I think that's a sign of good things to come. You can have another floor general in Harden that runs the floor and gets Mitch some of the rest that he'll need.
And I think the biggest thing too is Donovan Mitchell is still the X factor on this team, right? Like you could compare the stats. I'm going to pull them up once again for the viewers at home that are watching. I mean, Spider right now has 31 points per game. You look at Harden, he has 27. I thought that said 21 for a second. He has 27 points per game. Spider is still your X factor in terms of scoring, in terms of doing everything. James
Oh
Harden
yeah, if you need a
himself
bucket,
yeah,
you go
James
to
Harden
Spida, yeah.
himself James Harden himself is still the dime getter right now. He's playing that true point guard position. And I just love how they gel together. There was a moment in that game too. Donovan Mitchell hits a three. The Raptors call timeout. It cuts to a close up of Donovan Mitchell looking all like, as he should, muscular, hitting the flex because he just hit a timeout worthy three. And James Harden comes and grabs him right away and is starting to whisper and talk about game plan. And that's the kind of moments that I love to see out of this, especially because it's a young group together. Not young in terms of age, but young in terms of their experience together. I love the connection that James Harden and Donovan Mitchell have seemed to put together already. Hopefully, they can continue that for some longevity's sake, especially with James Harden's track record. But with what it looks like right now, it's been awesome.
Well, they have the hunger. I think that we've
Yeah.
talked about this before, the young guys not necessarily having the hunger yet. We talked about that after the exit last year on our show. But clearly these two do. I mean, we don't need to remind anybody, but Harden has never won a finals, never won a ring, and Mitchell has never exited or has never gone past the second round.
Right.
He's never been to a conference final. So I think with the two of them leading the charge in that, you now have two guys with some young guys around you. It makes so much more sense. And obviously, guys like Mobley and Allen are maturing into their own games. But now you have some of that hunger. It feels different this year. I don't know if I'm crazy because first round looked fine the last couple years as well, but it just feels different. They feel like a team on a mission this year in ways that I didn't feel in the past couple years. Again, time will tell all. We'll see, especially as we head towards these next couple games and then round 2, assuming we make it there. But for me, I don't know what it is. This just feels a little different.
It does feel a little different indeed. And it's the hunger, it's the want to cement legacy, both for Donovan Mitchell and for James Harden. I think that's what this run's all about, whether it be this year, hopefully next year, the year after that, because James Harden is obviously rounding out his career right now. It'll be interesting to see how that hunger continues to reflect off on guys too, like an Evan Mobley, who has accolades in his career, but has, flack on himself too because of the does he really want it? Does he want it at his young age? Does he want to be an NBA champion, which has always been part of the knock on him, Darius Garland, even Jared Allen to an extent as well. It's all there. So it's time to see what these Cavs are made of. That's what this playoff run is all about to me. I would be content, and I've said this, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but if they make a conference finals and they look competitive and they go 6 or 7 with a Boston or whoever it ends up being, maybe it's the Knicks, whatever. To me, that shows more of what this team is made of for years to come, or at least the next 1 to 2 years to come, than compared to the same things we've seen the last couple years of just getting bounced in the first or second round.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think the interesting thing about the Cavs is that they're constantly improving. The GM and front office does a fantastic job. I have no doubt that this team is going to look, whether we win the finals or not, make the finals, make the conference finals, whatever. I have a feeling that this team could look drastically different last year. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to talk hypotheticals right now, but they are constantly improving. What we do know now from interviews with Donovan Mitchell is that he is as happy as a clam in Cleveland. I mean, he considers it home. I'm not going to go so far as to say that he'll be the Jose Ramirez hometown discount kind of guy,
Right.
but for all intents and purposes, like national media loves to push him out of Cleveland or push anybody out of Cleveland. But I think he's happy. He will continue to be the dominant part of a core. Now, whether or not that includes Mobley, et cetera, in the future, there's a lot of guys out there that I think Cleveland is appealing to, especially next year. Time will tell. My point being, though, that I think that Cleveland will continue to improve, and I think we've seen it this year. They make those moves, and we're a better team for it. We are a better team. I mean, they tried things, Ball and et cetera, DeAndre Hunter. They
Right.
weren't working out. They ship them out. They bring someone else in. I, for one, am so happy about that. And that's part in what, like, we're constantly massaging that. We're not settling at all. It's really, really hard in any sport to win a championship. You can get there, you can grind, you can look great, you can win. We talk about only playoffs mattering in NBA, but it is not an easy thing to win a championship in at any level of sports. So I think we should step back and appreciate what the Cavs have done and the roster they've assembled. Because right now, the way things stand, I'm as happy as anybody or any team right now, and I think we have just as good as of a chance as anybody in the East does to get out of the East.
But I'll give you the caveat and I'll be the negative one on this episode. That could all change in just a simple game or two. And just, I want everyone to remember that as well. I want to be high on the Cavaliers because they have met my expectations and thought process so far in this Toronto Raptors series. But if we come back to Cleveland and it's 2-2, that's a huge knock on this team. And I don't want to discredit that. Now, put that to the side for a second because I think we're both on that same page. We've kind of hit that point a couple times. Looking forward in terms of what could be playoff matchups for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because we're not there yet, but the Orlando Magic did take game 1 from the Detroit Pistons. Are you feeling like our matchup could end up being the Magic after them taking the first game of that series, a 1v8? Or do you think we'll still end up with the Pistons if we do advance to the second round? And for anybody who's from the Raptors fandom, because our last Cavs videos found the Raptors fandom, if the Raptors end up advancing, do you think it'll be Orlando or Detroit coming out of that 1 versus 8 matchup?
That's a good question. I like the Magic right now, don't get me wrong. I mean, the Hawks and the Knicks are tied too. The Hawks pulled off a crazy game too. They won by
Yeah.
1 point, but that's tied at one now. So, when I looked at after game one, I looked at things and I thought, okay, everything's status quo. What I expected to happen happened. It's going to be pretty obvious where round one goes. And then all of a sudden, game two comes along, and maybe that's not the case. And the exception, obviously, the Pistons in the Magic series. The Magic are a good team. The Pistons, I think, have been overhyped this whole season. I think I've said that before. I can appreciate what JB Bickerstaff has done over there. I think he's a solid coach. I think he's a guy that gets young guys playing well together, but he's not a guy to get them over the hump. I believed that when he was here. I believe it now in Detroit as well. So I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's going to be a gritty series that could go to 7 games, honestly. We'll see. But so far, yeah, the Magic look good in that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out of that matchup, especially for our Cavaliers, if we do handle business and take care of the Toronto Raptors, which it looks like we will be able to right now. Um, I don't know who I want to put my hat on to finish that series because I do think Detroit did a lot of things to deserve that 1 seed and to deserve to come out of a 1v8 matchup. But at the same time, Orlando plays gritty basketball, right? And they
They
have
do.
shown that in very multiple different ways, whether it be against us or in other playoff runs past, where I could see them taking care of a JB Bickerstaff led team and moving forward and taking on whoever wins out of us or Toronto. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Game 2 obviously has not happened as of recording this. So it'll be interesting to see how game 2 shakes out up in Detroit. If the Magic win 2 games in Detroit, that's not a good look for JB and company, but we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell.
I will say time will tell. Detroit's still a very good team. Don't get me wrong. I will say this about Orlando though, like they're gritty, exactly like you were saying, and I think Paolo Banchero, he is a fantastic player. Like I've always liked him. I've always respected his game. Young player. You got Franz Wagner too. Like they have pieces, and they play you gritty. They play you tough. So it would not surprise me. Who would you rather face though coming out of that series?
For storyline's sake, because I want to hand it to JB and shed that demon, put that skeleton, take that skeleton out of the closet. Is that the right way to put it? Regardless, I want to take the Pistons though, because I want the JB matchup. I want all the smoke this playoffs. I don't want to run away from it. I don't want the best matchup for the Cavalier. I don't want any of that. I want all of the smoke. I want to face Boston. I want to face New York. I want to face, like, if I could face all of them, I would do it because I want this Cavs team to show me what the hell they're made of at this point. Because I'm sick of the soft allegations. I'm sick of, oh, we just don't have enough, or this team will never get over the hump. I want to know. And if we don't, and we can't let them know, and yes, I did that on purpose, then it's time to make roster changes because that's where I'm at. Right now, all things point to this is a pretty good roster construction. Will that continue as we face bigger, better teams? We'll see. But right now, I'm down to run with everything that we have going on.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, obviously, we'll play the winners of the Pistons Magic. And then I'm assuming it's going to be for the conference championship, Celtics, Knicks playing to get into that. and then against the winner of us. I'm hoping anyway. That'll be interesting. That'll be good basketball to watch. But the East is as open as ever, in my opinion, much more open than the West.
Always, it always is open like that, and it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out, especially when you talk about a team like Orlando, right? And I'm not trying to bring them up again, but they're a gritty team, right? And they could
Mhm.
end up making a deep run out of this playoffs as an 8 seed. You just never know what could happen, and that's what I think makes playoff basketball so damn good. And speaking about something so damn good, it is a very important week in terms of sports content. It is NFL draft week, and we have a show. We will be live NFL draft Thursday, which is the 23rd at 7:45 p.m. We will be chopping it up, talking all things Cleveland Browns, and of course, the division rivals as well. We'll also, as we're live, be watching the Cavs Toronto game 3. So you'll probably get some reactions there too. So if you're an all in Cleveland fan, if you want to hear some Cavs reactions, you want to watch some draft content, you want to have it all in, me and Eric got you covered here on At the Office. We will be covering everything and then some, talking NFL draft and, maybe a little couple sprinklings of Cavaliers basketball as well.
Yeah, it should be a fun week and a fun weekend as we head to the draft live in person as well. For
Right.
now, though, the debate never ends, but the show does. We'll see you next time.